It's the kind of move that makes you stop scrolling, rewind the interview, and go, wait, what did he just say? Kendrick Bourne, fresh off a turbulent stretch with the Patriots and recovering from a season-ending ACL injury, may have just let the cat out of the bag. In a recent live stream, casual low-key and seemingly off-script, Bourne dropped a bombshell that has Philadelphia Eagles fans buzzing louder than ever. Yeah, man, excited to be there. Philly's energy is real. Snare that. Was it? No big announcement, no coordinated social media post, just a raw, unfiltered line that instantly set off a storm of speculation. Could Kendrick Bourne, the versatile and underrated wide receiver, really be heading to the city of brotherly love? Of course, this isn't some random player fishing for headlines. Bourne has been a legit contributor in the league, especially when healthy. And now, if this slip-up is to be believed, the Eagles may be adding yet another weapon to an already loaded offense. But the real question is, was this confirmation? Or just a classic misdirection play from a savvy veteran? Let's break it down and look at what this could mean for the Eagles and the entire NFC. There's a lot to unpack here. First, the Eagles aren't exactly hurting for receivers, with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith forming one of the most dangerous duos in the league. The addition of Bourne might seem excessive at first glance. But in the NFL, depth is gold, and Bourne brings a different skill set. He's shifty, a strong route runner, and isn't afraid to go across the middle. He's also got that underdog mentality, which Philly fans love. And let's not forget Nick. Sirianni has shown time and time again that he values versatility and toughness above flashy stats. Bourne, when healthy, fits that mold perfectly. There's a certain grit to his game, a blue-collar edge that could complement the Eagles' high-octane system beautifully. And with his experience in New England's discipline system, there's no doubt he'd bring a level of football IQ that's tough to find. If the Eagles really did ink him quietly, it might be one of the savviest under Theradar moves this offseason. Still, the silence from both camps is deafening. No official announcement. No press release, nothing on the team's social pages. Just that one cryptic comment, and that's what makes this rumor so intriguing. Now here's where it gets really spicy. Some insiders have started connecting dots that weren't obvious at first. Just last week, Bourne was seen working out in Philly, caught on camera by a local gym rat who quickly posted it to TikTok. At the time, people brushed it off as just a coincidence. Maybe he was visiting friends or just enjoying the city. But now, with his new on-camera confirmation, that workout is taking on a whole new meaning. Was it a casual drop-in, or was he already getting acclimated to his new team? These kinds of soft reveals are becoming more and more common in the league. Players know how to tease fans, how to stir up the hype without giving away too much. But the way Bourne said it, it didn't feel like a tease. It felt genuine, unrehearsed. And sometimes those are the slips that tell the real story. If Bourne is in Philly and he's already putting in reps, then the Eagles might be prepping for an even more explosive offensive campaign than anyone predicted. This could be the missing piece that helps them go from contenders to champions. And let's not overlook the potential locker room dynamic here. Bourne has always been known as a high-energy, positive presence. Teammates rave about his work ethic and charisma. In New England, where things tend to be more buttoned up, Bourne was often the spark plug, celebrating big plays, hyping up the sidelines, and bringing that much-needed vibe. Imagine that energy in Philly's locker room, alongside the already fiery personalities of Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelce, and A.J. Brown. That's a recipe for some serious chemistry. Bourne doesn't just play hard, he makes everyone around him feel like the game matters, and that kind of intangible is worth its weight in gold come playoff time. The Eagles aren't just building a team of stars, they're building a culture. If this rumor proves true, it shows they're not just stacking stats, they're thinking about balanced leadership and identity, and that's something that wins in January and February. It's early, sure, but Bourne in green could be the kind of move we look back on and say, that's when the tide really turned. Another layer to this story is Bourne's contract situation. Coming off an injury and entering free agency, his value was a big question mark. He's not the kind of player who commands headlines on day one of free agency, but for teams looking for value, he's a gem. And the Eagles have made a habit out of turning overlooked talent into key contributors. Look no further than what they've done with guys like Boston Scott, Quez Watkins, and even Zach Pascal before he moved on. Bourne fits that mold. A player with high upside, the right mindset, and the willingness to fit into a system rather than demand to be the system. Reports suggested he'd been quietly fielding offers from multiple teams, but the Eagles always made sense a strong team with a clear path to the Super Bowl and a coaching staff that knows how to use hybrid receivers effectively. If they snagged him on a team-friendly deal, it could be a masterclass in roster building. But that's the thing, no official details. Just whispers, rumors, and one accidental comment that might have blown the whole thing wide open. The Philadelphia Eagles have a history of pulling off moves that seem minor at first only to become massive talking points by midseason. Think about how they added Hassan Reddick or traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Under-the-radar decisions that ended up reshaping the team's identity. If the Kendrick Bourne rumor is true, it fits that exact pattern. A calculated gamble on a player with upside hunger and experience. No need to outbid the market, no dramatic press conference. Just business as usual. But this time, it feels even more intentional. If Bourne is fully recovered and there's good reason to believe he is based on recent training footage, then the Eagles might be getting a guy who can produce immediately. No acclimation period, no hidden agendas. He knows what he's walking into a high-stakes locker room with championship expectations. And that's exactly the kind of environment Bourne seems to crave. He's never been the top guy, but he's always played like he wants to be. If that hunger translates in midnight green, the Eagles could have themselves one of the most complete WR rooms in the entire NFL. And if this signing happens soon, it might just reshape the way we look at their offense. And here's where the timing starts to raise eyebrows. With training camp underway and preseason games approaching fast, most teams have settled their rosters, or at least that's the perception. So if Bourne is in Philly and he's quietly joined the squad without a formal announcement, the Eagles may be trying to integrate him before unveiling him to the world. It wouldn't be the first time a team has done that, by allowing him to build chemistry with Jalen Hurts and get into football shape behind closed doors. They avoid media pressure and let the football do the talking. And that strategy could pay off big. Imagine Bourne suiting up in a preseason game, out of nowhere taking a few snaps, and the broadcast cut into fans going absolutely wild because no one expected it. That kind of moment is YouTube Go meme-worthy and a perfect example of Philly's showmanship. The idea of Kendrick Bourne just appearing like a secret weapon makes this rumor all the more electric. It's not just about depth or stats. It's about the message it sends to the rest of the league. We're not done. We're still building. And we've got surprises coming. If true, this is next level chess from Howie Roseman. What's even more interesting is how Bourne's style of play mirrors what the Eagles have lacked in certain situations. As talented as their receivers are, Philly occasionally struggles with intermediate routes and short yardage conversion plays, especially when defenses tighten up in red zone situations. Bourne thrives in those exact areas. He's not the burner who stretches the field vertically. That's Devonta Smith. He's not the big body target who dominates contested catches. That's A.J. Brown. What Bourne brings is that crafty find a soft spot in the zone. Route running that kills defenses slowly but surely. He's that guy who shows up on 3rd and 6, finds the gap and moves the chains. In a playoff game, those little moments are the difference between heartbreak and heroics. That's why the rumor of Bourne joining Philly is gaining traction among analysts, not because of flashy highlights, but because of how neatly he fills a gap no one was talking about. It's almost surgical the way this could fit. If Sirianni and company identified that blind spot and moved to address it with Bourne, it shows just how laser-focused they are on getting every possible edge for a deep postseason run. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Below digging deeper into Kendrick Bourne's career trajectory, it becomes even more clear why this move would make so much sense for both sides. He's always been the type of player to thrive in structured system-based offenses. From his early days with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco to the detail-oriented playbooks in New England, Bourne has never been about flash. He's about timing, precision, and accountability. That's why some might say he's boring, but if you ask coaches, those are the guys they trust the most. And trust is everything in Philly's system. With Jalen Hurts' rise to MVP caliber leadership, there's a premium on receivers who run clean routes, adjust mid-play, and block downfield. Bourne checks every single one of those boxes. If this is real, and it's looking more and more likely by the hour, then the Eagles may have added a piece that gives them incredible flexibility. They can rotate him into multiple roles or save him for key downs or even use him as a decoy. Either way, it's a win. And the fact that this entire storyline started with a few casual words on a live stream, that's what makes this rumor absolute gold. And let's not underestimate the emotional impact this could have on Bourne himself. For a player who's been through injuries, roster uncertainty, and inconsistent usage, a landing spot like Philly might reignite something deep inside. This is a team that doesn't just play football, they embody a mindset. They're underdog scrappers, fighters. The city demands passion, and Bourne has always played like someone with something to prove. If he truly is about to wear the Eagles jersey, you better believe he's going to pour every ounce of himself into that opportunity. He's not walking into a rebuilding situation or a quiet market. He's stepping into the fire under the spotlight with expectations sky high. And some players shrink under that pressure. But Bourne, he seems like the kind of guy who would eat it up. From viral sideline dances to clutch third down grabs, he's always worn his heart on his sleeve. In Philadelphia, that emotion won't be punished. It'll be celebrated. And maybe that's the final piece of this puzzle. Maybe Bourne didn't just choose Philly because of football. Maybe he chose it because it finally feels like a place where his energy matches the city's heartbeat. There's also a sneaky long-term angle to this whole situation. While Bourne might be seen as a short-term solution or just another depth piece for 2025, the Eagles are known for playing the long game. What if this move is about more than this season? A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith aren't going anywhere sure, but Quez Watkins and others are on the edge of the depth chart. Bourne, with the right chemistry and production, could position himself as the go-to WR3 not just this year, but next. And in a league where injuries are inevitable, having a guy who can step up without disrupting the entire scheme is priceless. Don't be surprised if this rumored signing becomes a slow burn success story. One where Bourne starts as a rotational piece and ends the year catching touchdowns in the NFC Championship. That's how these things go sometimes. And for a front office as forward-thinking as Philly's, it makes perfect sense. Well, they're not just building for this Sunday. They're building for next season, next playoff run, next ring. If Bourne is part of that vision, then this rumor might be the start of a brand new chapter for both the player and the franchise. And here's something no one's talking about: the culture fit. Philly's locker room has become one of the tightest knit units in the league. Veterans, rookies, role players, they all buy in. The leadership from guys like Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Jalen Hurts has set a tone that's all about accountability and unity. And Kendrick Bourne, he's exactly the type of personality that meshes with that. He's never been a diva, never demanded top billing. He shows up, works hard, and makes plays. That kind of energy can be contagious, especially in a room full of guys who already have that team-first mentality. And in a league where egos can derail seasons, the Eagles have been careful about who they bring in. If this rumor proves true, it shows they've done their homework. They're not just adding a body, they're adding a personality, a presence, someone who amplifies what's already working. And that's what separates good teams from great ones. If Bourne walks into that locker room and instantly becomes one of the guys, the Eagles just got even more dangerous, not just on the field, but in the heart of their culture. Ultimately, we still don't have an official tweet, a press release, or a locker room interview with Kendrick Bourne holding up an Eagles jersey. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this rumor is meant to simmer the build to grow into something legendary. Because every great move starts with a whisper. And right now, the whispers around Kendrick Bourne and the Philadelphia Eagles are getting louder by the day. Maybe it was a slip of the tongue. Maybe it was a soft launch. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the first real sign that this season in Philly is going to be even more electric than we thought. If Bourne really is coming, then buckle up. This team just got more versatile, more dangerous, and maybe even a little more fun. And for a fan base that lives and breathes every snap, that's the kind of rumor that doesn't just trend, it explodes. So until we get confirmation, keep your eyes on the sidelines, the practice reports, and yes, even the TikToks. Because if Kendrick Bourne shows up in midnight green, it won't just be a signing, it'll be a statement, one that the rest of the NFL won't be able to ignore. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.